How's everyone doing? Today I have a horror Blu-ray collection update with 5 pickups. And if you've seen any of these movies, definitely let me know what you think of them and let me know which one of these is your favorite. Leave me those comments down below. But now let's go ahead and get into it. First up is Frankenstein. This is the miniseries from 2004 and it stars Luke Goss, Alec Newman, Julie Delpy, William Hurt, and Donald Sutherland. Although it also is the acting debut for Dan Stevens. He's not listed on the back or anywhere up at the top, but I think he is a phenomenal actor. He was in the movie The Guest. I feel like a lot of people will know him from that one. Super tense. I love the heck out of that movie. But he was also in Apostle, which I think was a Netflix film, and it's never got a physical release, but that movie is incredible to me. It has slight Wicker Man vibes, but it's so awesome, atmospheric, bizarre, creepy, unique. I love it so much, and it deserves way more attention. The Rental is another one that Dan Stevens was in, and I like that one a lot, but that one had mixed reviews, and that one might not be for everybody, but I enjoyed it. It was creepy, but I really like Dan Stevens, and I'm excited to check this one out. Another iteration of Frankenstein. Let me know what your favorite adaptation from Mary Shelley's novel for Frankenstein is. There's a lot of different takes out there. The De Niro one, the old classic Universal monsters. I mean, so many. But I'm excited to check this one out. I believe it's just a 2-part miniseries. It says on the side, complete miniseries event. And 2 hours and 57 minutes of runtime. Great cast. I'm definitely looking forward to checking this one out. So I'll be watching that one very soon. Next up is Vestron Video Collector Series released for Class of 1999 with the slipcover. This is directed by Mark L. Lester, who directed Class of 1984, and he also directed Firestarter, the Stephen King adaptation with a young Drew Barrymore, Commando, a few really good films that I enjoy. I am not the biggest fan of Class of 1984, and this one to me, I don't know, this one is... Most people won't like it as much as Class of 1984, but I enjoy this one more for it has its cheesy factor, and it's just popcorn entertainment, and I had a good time with it. Class of 1984, like, I feel like there's so much you had to suspend disbelief. It was more grounded in reality than this one. And for the kids to get away with as much as they were getting away with, come on now. Like, they were literally like killing people in that movie and just getting away with the cops for letting them go. Nothing we can do. What are you talking about? Like, that movie just pissed me off so freaking much. And I know that one has a big fan following. This one is cheesier. There's like military robots right there posing as teachers in these really bad schools with gangs and stuff. And it's kind of a different take on, the same kind of idea with Class of 1984. In Class of 1984, the teachers were afraid of the students. In this one, the students are afraid of the teachers. And I like the cast a lot in here, too. You've got Stacy Keach, Malcolm McDowell, Pam Grier's in here. I know there's a few other recognizable people, but I enjoyed the heck out of this one. Again, it's cheese-tastic fun. The kids have to fight back against the military robot teachers, and I don't know, I enjoy this one. So I feel like I'm in the minority in liking this one. This one doesn't get quite as much love. But again, it's got some grittiness to it. It's got some, dirtiness to it. It's, obviously it's set in the future. There's the free fire zones and all kinds of, craziness going on where the police won't even go there. So they're taking matters into their own hands and trying to, discipline these young whippersnappers, except they're actually really violent kids and gangs and stuff in here. And the robotics specialist comes in and, the tactical education units is what they call them right there. But I dig it, and happy to see Vestron Video releasing more Blu-rays. I feel like they released a bunch, and then there was a bit of a lull, and there was like 1 or 2 a year, but now they seem to be on a roll again. This is a bit of an older title, so definitely happy to get the slipcover, and sometimes the slipcovers go for like, 4 times more than the movie itself. Let me know what you'd like to see get a Vestron Video Collector Series release. And let me know what your favorite release has been from Vestron Video Collector Series on Blu-ray. For me, Blood Diner. That's just an all-time favorite of mine. Great, cheesy 80s horror comedy movie. Love that movie so much. One of my all-time favorite movies, in fact. So many really good releases there. I know there's people that collect every single edition. They have numbered spine. A lot of companies are doing that now. I don't know. I can't do that. I just don't want to keep things in my collection that I don't love. And there's a couple movies I don't really love. It's impossible to love every single movie from a series like that or company. But I digress. I'm super happy they're releasing it. I'm happy to continue to support them. They've got so many great releases. There's really only a couple that I'm not a fan of. Overwhelming positivity for me for the rest of the line. Super happy that they're going. Next up is Crimson Peak, and I wanted to pick up the Arrow video release for it, the limited edition one, but I think it's out of print. But there might be a 4K release for this coming, so I think I'm going to wait for now. And this was pretty cheap, the standard Blu-ray, and again, happy to get it with the slipcover. But yeah, I like the cast a lot here. It's from Guillermo del Toro. Let me know what your favorite Guillermo del Toro movie is. And for me, it would have to be Devil's Backbone. I love that one so much. Atmospheric. It's a ghost story, but I never really thought of it as a horror movie. But I guess, I felt more like drama to me. But I still love that movie so much. But this one, to me, another really atmospheric one. I feel like the house is a character unto itself in here. Really creepy. It's kind of like a gothic romance ghost story movie, Crimson Peak. And I like the cast here, too. Got Tom Hiddleston, who's, I feel like everybody knows him as Loki now, but he's been around for a little bit. Jessica Chastain, Mia Wasikowska, and Charlie Hunnam from he was Green Street Hooligans back in the day, but everybody knows him from Sons of Anarchy, which I love that show. One of the few shows that really get it right for the ending, like a series finale. It's hard to do. And that's one of the Shield and then Sons of Anarchy, I feel like are two of the exceptions for getting it right for a popular series finale. I felt like it was so fitting for Sons of Anarchy, and I love that show. I still need to check out the Mayans. But yeah, this one was just really atmospheric, some great visuals, but I felt like it was a bit formulaic, but I do want to revisit it. She gets married, and the sister lives there too. The sister was really creepy, and the house was, I just remember the house being awesome. So I really love that gothic feel here, Victorian era. And again, great visuals, and I'm looking forward to revisiting this one. Next up is one that I remember being really cheesy, but I do want to check it out again, Cherry Falls. And has Brittany Murphy, Michael Biehn, and Jay Moore. And I remember it being a little campy. Some of the acting and dialogue was a little rough. Let me know what your favorite Brittany Murphy movie is outside of Clueless. I recently rewatched Don't Say a Word, which I saw when it first came out in the theaters, actually. The one where she's, I'll never tell. And I remember liking it back then, and watching it now, I was like, oh, that was terrible. That was so contrived and convoluted and ridiculous. But I never saw Spun with her or Deadline. Those are two that I want. I think there's another one like Just Across the Hall or something. There's a few that I haven't seen from her. But I don't know. There was a bunch where I know she's got a big fan following. But there was a bunch of movies where she did kind of rom-com stuff that I wasn't into. So there weren't a lot of movies that I loved from her. Clueless was a fun time. But maybe give me some recommendations for other ones to check out. Again, I do need to see the ones that I just mentioned. And Cherry Falls is directed by Jeffrey Wright, who directed the movie Romper Stomper with Russell Crowe, skinhead movie. Very gritty and raw. I feel like a far departure from that to Cherry Falls, completely different, but really interesting how some of these directors sometimes make very similar movies and oftentimes make completely opposite ends of the spectrum movies, and that's definitely the case here with Jeffrey Wright. I like the artwork a lot for it right there. That was a great job. It's so interesting to see certain characters doing certain roles, like Jay Moore. I feel like he does a lot of comedic roles. Jerry Maguire, he was great in there too. But I feel like he can play, jerk roles really well too. But this role, I wonder how he feels. I don't know if there's interviews or anything on here. I see interviews with a lot of actors in here, but he's not listed. But maybe some kind of snippet. There is actually a vintage interview. Okay, I see it now. So that's exciting. I want to check out that to see how he felt about doing that. I want to see more of like a retrospective, like now, looking back, how he feels about doing this role. But I got to see Jay Moore do stand-up comedy at my local comedy club a while back, and he was really nice. I got him to sign some stuff, so I'll show that in a video at some point. You can't really even see the signature because he was in signature mode, and he used like a black Sharpie to sign on like the DVD cover art, which was already black. So it's like, but what can you do? But it was still a cool experience. He was nice and very funny as well. But this one was ridiculous. It's about like it's a slasher movie, and I want to say it came out year 2000. Yeah, I think so. I think it's, yeah. And it's basically set in a high school, and all these virgins are being killed. So students are trying to throw a pop your cherry party where they lose their virginity so they won't be a target for the killer. And I just thought it was ridiculous, but I want to revisit it because I remember it being a little fun as well and entertaining for what it was. But especially the twist. I remember the twist being so ridiculous, but unintentional comedy almost. But I do like Michael Biehn a lot. I think he's a really good actor. So I know he directed before. I want to see more from him directing wise too. But want to revisit this one. A bevy of bonus features from Scream Factory right here. Nice Scream Factory release. They give you interior artwork, and I appreciate that. And let me know what your favorite Scream Factory release is. They're releasing a lot of 4Ks now. I do wish some of the collector's editions 4Ks had reversible artwork or interior artwork or something like that. Some of them don't. Some of them do. Some of them don't have the slipcovers anymore. So I feel like we've been conditioned to have expectations for their collector's editions, for them to have the slipcovers, for them to have interior artwork or reversible artwork. And when they don't, it just feels like a bit of a jip, especially for the premium price that you're paying for them. I digress and rant. I'm still happy that they're releasing, going strong. One of the top companies out there releasing horror films. So keep it going. And I'm glad to see a lot of 4K releases from them too. Next up is a Dutch film, Cub, from Artsploitation Films, which unfortunately they haven't released a Blu-ray in a couple of years. I hope they release more in the future. There's a bunch of films like Olive Films. It's been years since they released anything, and I'm hoping that maybe some of these companies can be kind of resurrected. Twilight Time was one that didn't release anything. Screen Archives took them over, and they released a few films. So maybe somebody can take over and release for them, because Artsploitation Films, they had a lot of like international films and stuff that I feel like wouldn't have gotten exposure otherwise, and some really good ones, hidden gems. There's one, Bloody Knuckles, a horror comedy movie about a severed hand, which I thought was a really fun time. It didn't get great reviews, but I enjoyed the heck out of them. If you like the movie Idle Hands, I think you could enjoy Bloody Knuckles because it's in the same vein with a dismembered hand and a ridiculous over-the-top horror comedy movie. Another one from Artsploitation's film, Trauma, which is a Chilean horror movie, which brutal, disturbing, not very good acting, not the greatest movie overall, but I think some people could enjoy it for, the disturbing brutality and the gore and stuff like that. But yeah, that's another one that I feel like got a little bit of buzz when it first came out, and then I didn't really hear too much about it. So I feel like they have a lot of really good films. And I feel like for me, a lot of my favorite recent, international foreign films have been Asian. You've got Train to Busan, you've got The Sadness, you've got The Wailing. But I feel like there's been some really good ones coming out of South America too. And I want to see some more from, Eastern European countries. There's been a bunch, but I feel like I'm really drawn to, the Korean and Japanese and stuff like that from what they've been doing. But I'd like to see a resurgence from French. I remember in the, early mid 2000s, there was a wave of French extreme horror movies. And Inside is my favorite from that bunch. I know Martyrs gets the most love, but I would definitely pick Inside and Frontiers and High Tension. The ending was a bit of a cop-out to me, but I love the rest of that film. One that doesn't get enough love from that group of French extreme horror movies is the movie Mutants. I never hear anybody mention that one, an infected movie with some little bit of a snowy setting going on in there too, but I love that one. No one ever mentions it. Check that one out too. But definitely let me know what your favorite international horror movie has been for the past few years, like recent international horror. There's been some great ones out there, and I'm definitely looking for more recommendations, maybe some, underrated ones or lesser known ones. But Cub, it's been a while since I've seen this one, but I remember it's about like a Cub Scout troop essentially going into the woods, and this one kid gets picked on, and they're talking about this like urban legend story, and apparently there is something in the woods killing people, and kind of a fight for survival. And it says entertaining kill in the woods fairy tale. Looking forward to revisiting this one again. It's been a while. I saw it when it first came out, 2014. Holy moly, has it been that long? But happy to add this one to the collection and check it out again. I remember really enjoying this one. And again, Artsploitation Films has some really cool releases, and I hope they continue to release in the future, even though it's been a couple of years now. Come on, Artsploitation Films, come back to me. But yeah, Bloody Knuckles was one of my favorites from them, and Cub I remember being really good, so happy to add that one to the collection. And I just realized this was unintentional. There's 4 C titles right there, and the one lone F title. F title from the C titles. I don't know. I think that's pretty interesting, though. 4 C titles in this haul, and I didn't intend to do that at all. I just noticed that I was like, what? So maybe that'll help my alphabetizing, because I'm going to alphabetize all of my horror Blu-rays. I've been working on it, and I got piles everywhere on the floor that I still have to do updates for and then add. But it's not going to be the random horror Blu-ray shelf videos anymore. People seem to like that, and I've actually had requests to do more of those. I'm going to do the horror Blu-ray shelf videos like A through whatever and so on. So that's exciting, and this will help my alphabetization. There you go. Those are the 5 pickups. Let me know if you've seen any of them and what you think of them. And let me know which one of these is your favorite as well. Leave me those comments down below. And I hope everybody's doing well. Take care.